So hello everyone and hello Jean. I'm Nazry Bahrawi. Hi.
Nazry.
Hi. And I'm Nazry Bahrawi, and I'm actually a literary academic and also a translator and a critic. And also a huge fan of films, especially films from the non-Western world, because part of my work I engage with decolonial ideas of decoloniality. So that's really I've caught Jean's film last night, Saloum, which is very fascinating for me. And I want to say that it's such a privilege to have to be engaging with you in a conversation, Jean. And thank you for making the time.
You are.
So I wanted to just go straight into it, but maybe to give our audience a sense of who you are. I wanted to start things off, and I thought it might be apt for our audience members to talk about to get a sense of your filmmaking journey. Because I read that you're a man of many talents, having worked as a graphic
Yes,
designer.
Yeah, you.
And you did some games as well. And so
yeah.
So maybe tell us about your journey into filmmaking.
Well, I'm not the typical filmmaker that had a camera when he was 8 or 6 and blah blah blah. I grew up in Congo. I'm born in Congo in Africa, the French Congo, because you have two Congos. And I started very early to draw and write. And after that, moving to music. I was a music composer, or should I say beat maker, because music composer sounds more like a movie. And video games came quite early also. So I started programming video games and all that. So I'm a big fan of role-playing games, or I was, because now I have less time. And I'm coming from all that. And the movie process came very late in my life, to be honest. Like, it came, I was around 20, 21. I always dreamed about making movies, but in my head, it was always a rich people's sport. Doesn't make sense. So my first shock that told me, oh, I want to be a filmmaker, I think it was on Pulp Fiction from Tarantino. When I saw the movie, I said to myself, oh, so actually you can make movies about just characters and not explosion and stuff like that, and big money everywhere. So that's when it slowly started in my head to make its way. And later in my life, because I'm a graphic designer by formation, so we had that editing course, and then I just fell in love with editing and filmmaking, and I started with music videos, and after that commercials, and after that short movies, and then slowly by slowly I arrived to feature. And Saloum is my second one, and there is a third one on the way. And the fourth one soon to be shoot. So things are going faster now. But yeah, it was a long way.
Yeah. Well, sounds like a very interesting journey. It's like your modern day what you call it, Renaissance man in some ways. Yeah. I wanted to say maybe we can move straight into the discussion of Saloum.
Yeah.
So for me, what was the first thing that jumped at me with the movie was the arresting aesthetics of the movie. I noticed you use a lot of loud colors, I think, on the characters, right? Like their facial features, the hair, but also on the clothes that they wear, and also in the kind of background in the city, in the town. I mean, the small town by the beach, the boats and the walls and everything. So I'm really quite arrested by that, and I thought that this was very interesting. That also the in terms of the play between light and darkness, the spirits of Sirabana. Is it Sirabana?
Right. Yeah, very good. You get the name. Very good.
Yeah. Yes, the spirits of Sirabana were like they are supernatural warriors in a way that came during the day rather than at night, which was very interesting to me. So I wanted to ask you about that aesthetic.
As you may know, Saloum is a low budget. It's a very low budget. I won't tell you the budget because I don't want the people to judge the movie by the budget. But it's a very low budget, and when you don't have a lot of budget, you have to do with what you have, right? So Senegal in general, when you talk about boats or villages and all that. It's always very colorful somewhere. And I found it very interesting for a movie that is supposed to be dark and to be moody and all that, to finally go into something different than just a Western direction. So I chose to embrace the colors, as I wanted the movie to be saturated in colors and give the feeling that, oh, they're going in vacation.
Yes.
You know, until you understand that it's not going to be good vacations for them. So on that, it was suiting the purpose. But then the making Saloum was also a way for me to finally show or create what a African mercenary looked like. Because most of the time when we talk about Africa and we talk about warfare, when you hear about mercenaries, it's always Western mercenaries. It's like French mercenaries, Russians, South Africans, maybe Americans, you know, but there are some African mercenaries, but nobody showed them, you know. So that's when I came with the hyenas, the free guys, and I also wanted them to be iconic. And as you may know, in Africa, we play. Soldiers wears a lot of black magic items, right? And those black magic items, most of the time, are very colorful. And when you talk about black magic in general, you always, well, not always, but you mostly have three colors, like black, white, and red.
Right.
So I chose to use those colors wisely. And I wanted the movie to be, since again we didn't have a lot of budget, it's very important on where you put the colors for the eyes of the audience to focus on the right way. I knew that, for example, even if the red gloves on Shaka has a purpose, and you're going to understand that in the movie, but it's also a way for me to show the audience, oh, Shaka is there. You know, you can see the red gloves there, so he's there. This guy is there, blah, blah, blah. So your eye is very used quickly to see where is everybody, instead of me putting money into this is going to be this and this is going to be that, and you're going to see here and here and here. So you have to use your money in the right way, and also in the right way, artistically talking. So it was a challenge somewhere, but I'm coming from graphic design again, so and from comics, so I love to iconize my character, but in the same way, try to be subtle. Does it make sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
So and thank you for your question, because this is the first time that somebody asked me the question about the colors and the artistic direction, which is something very important for me. Especially in African cinema, because most of the time when you watch African cinema, or at least for me, I don't find like people put so much effort into that area, and I think it's very important, and especially on a genre movie. I hope I answered your question on that.
Yeah, you did. It's so interesting to hear your question, your answer as well, because I was thinking about, like I said, I do study non-Western narratives, and one of the things that the wider world always think about when they think about non-Western narratives is that they want to look at it for anthropological kind of like content, but not so much for aesthetics. So what I like about your movie is that there is aesthetics there, and there is also content that is very much place-centric and very contextual.
Yeah, it's always better when you use when the two can, when you have the look and it has a purpose, right?
Right.
I give you one of the greatest example that I have from Western movies recently was The Matrix.
Yeah.
What I love about The Matrix was you see him with this long leather coat or coat, and you feel like the filmmakers just wanted to put that, but then they explain in the movie that when you go in the Matrix, that's your mental projection of yourself.
Right.
So when you see the hero like that, you know that he wants to be looked like that because in his head he's a hero. Right. You know, so that's very interesting the way they use the artistic direction to project the mental state of the character. Does it make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
This is the best example of how you can use all your artistic department in a purpose. and not just to say, oh, it's going to look great. It's going to look, you see. So so when it's done well, man, that strikes, you know.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted for Saloum.
Yeah, I think you excel in that department. So congratulations. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I'm also very excited about the film's appeal to mysticism and magic. And I say this because I'm very interested in so I'm a Malay person, and I worked on a collection of Malay speculative fiction, but also folklore. So that part of the movie, the mysticism and magic, and you mentioned a little bit, really speaks to me. And I know this is not the first time that you kind of use the trope of magic in your work, in your creative work.
Yeah.
And I think your first feature was a Netflix series, right? It's a Netflix series called Sako and Mangan.
Yeah, my first TV series. Sako and Mangan. Yeah, exactly.
Sako and Mangan, and it have its magical elements there as well.
Yeah, it features. It's a mix between. It's a mix between Miami Vice and X-Files.
Yeah, that's so interesting. So
cop near the beach and black magic on the other side. So so supernatural and procedural in the same time.
Right. Yeah.
So
what's the use of how do you see the use of the supernatural or black magic in Saloum? Were you trying to say something with that, or?
Where was I trying to say something? Yes.
Yeah.
Saloum for me is somewhere is a very spiritual message or movie. There is a lot of message in that. There are some hidden ones that people will see or not see. Also on the colors, when you were asking me. I grew up in Africa. I grew up in Congo, and when we grew up, I think it's probably the same in Asia for you guys. We grow up with so much folklore around not only monsters, but monsters, myths, heroes, and sometimes you can have your mother say, "Hey, by night, don't whistle, because the monster is gonna take you, or some spirits are gonna take you," stuff like that. You know, like you grow up with those kind of things, and then when you arrive at my age. I'm not that old. And when you feel like your craft is sufficiently enough to do like Saloum, everything just come back naturally on what I grew up with, you know. And sorry for the noise. And I couldn't picture those warriors, those mercenaries being attached so much to Africa and not have what is Africa, which is Africa is very spiritual, even if a lot of people tend to drag us back to religion and religions and blah blah blah. Like Africa is very, very, very all about spirituality. And black magic, however people call that, is a part of that. You know, so it was an important fact for me, an important thing for me to, if I go very deeply into the roots of Senegal, especially Senegal, which is known for and I'm sorry, I don't know the word in English, so I will say witch doctors and stuff
shamans,
like that. Shamans and all that. You can go deeper in that culture if you don't tackle that subject. Right. And of course, we're in a genre movie,
right,
with an horror element that is going to come in the third act. So of course I'm going to use that. Does it make sense? You know, but then, and thank you for pronouncing it great. The Ghana Sirabana legend, I didn't create that. It exists really. Like I just extended that into personalizing the monsters, you know, but the Ghana Sirabana curse, it exists in the Saloum, and I really wanted to have something that is real, that is grounded in Senegalese history.
Right.
So that's why all that.
Wow,
so there was a purpose. Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, I really like your answer as well. I'm just looking at my notes here that I've created to also ask you some as I go. So if I look here, there is not. I'm paying attention.
Don't worry. Don't worry, and you can ask all the questions. Don't worry.
Great. So you've described Saloum as a horror film in its third act, right? Which is I've seen it, and I definitely see it. It's also been described as a genre bending film by critics. So it has a spaghetti western, samurai films. I always read this, and horror.
Everybody wants to find something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Me, I don't have any word for, even for you were talking about the horror film. I don't even see the movie as a horror film, but the press see it this way, and that's good.
Right.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, how do you feel about being characterized as a genre bending film? Like, did you plan on this? It seems like you didn't plan on this, but that the reception was this.
I planned on this and I didn't plan on this.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know if I'm supposed to say that to your audience, because are they gonna watch that after the movie or before the movie? After the movie?
After the movie. They're not gonna know this before, so you can spoil all you want.
So yeah, because all I wanted was different phases in the movie.
Okay.
And the first phases for me was, okay, I'm gonna take the audience by the end and make them believe that this is gonna be a cool story. That we're gonna go into a cool adventure and with those great looking guys and charismatic guys and give that Western feeling to it, because that's first of all what I felt when I went to the Saloum. Like I said to myself, this is a fucking Western area. Like I want to do Western here. So it came like that. And for me, Saloum is an entire Western for the beginning till the end. So then yes, you have monsters in that, which comes with I will say terror. I will not say horror. Does it make sense? Like there is a difference. But then if the press is talking about horror, I'm good. If some people are scared, that's even better. But the goal was to take the audience by the end and say, follow those guys. And then the more we arrive to the camp, slowly we start to defocus from the group and focus on Shaka. And the more we focus on Shaka, the more we see that, these guys have some very big flaws. There's something that is not right here. And then when he talks about the rape, then it was the moment for me to say, they're human. He's human. He's not just a hero or whatever, or Yena or however you call him. He's a human. And the feeling that he's having, we can all have that. And when I can finally bring the audience to feel the same thing that Shaka feels, or at least understands him, that's where you bring the monsters. Because if you bring the monsters too early,
right,
with the budget that I have, people will just be like, again, monsters, blah, blah, blah. But if you succeed in taking your audience and make them believe that this character suffered that much and came for a reason, then it gives the audience a reason to want to survive with him. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
So every phases of the movie was a purpose to bring you into that story, which is a story of revenge and the consequences of revenge.
Right.
After that, may it be a Western, a horror movie, a comedy, a thriller, a crime, whatever. Right. Those are different elements that comes to help the emotions to dig in the audience. So I don't know because I shot a movie called Zero just after this one, which is in post-production right now.
Right.
This one also, by its story, has some different genre elements. So I don't know if it's me, my DNA, or if it's the subject that is calling for that.
Yes.
But Saloum was clearly calling for different genres. Right. Because if you tackle the genre, if you take those characters who are mercenaries, they can have a lot of different kind of missions.
Right.
So for example, I could have said, okay, the hyenas, the mercenaries that we have in the movie, can be paid to go rob a bank. So if they do that, now the movie becomes a heist, right? But the characters stay the same. Yes. So it's how you envision as a director. It's how you envision the movie, and it's how you want to tell the story. And after that, the kind of genre. There are some directors who can stay into just one genre, and there are directors who loves a different type of genres. And I think I'm mostly the second kind.
Right. Yeah. Thanks for Yeah, great answer, and really understand what you're getting at. And I wanted to talk now a little bit and shift gear a little bit about some wider, bigger questions. So for me, in Singapore, for instance, we don't get a lot of films from Senegal or even from the African continent. So we don't even have an African film festival, for instance. We have the Middle East Film Festival and Latin American, but we don't have an African film festival. So that's a pity for me, because I think, like, great films like yours should really deserve an audience here. But I was thinking, it's made me think about this tension must be in a filmmaker's mind between the universal and the particular. So especially if you are a director from say not from Hollywood, right? Because Hollywood is always taken to be the standard, right? The universal. How do you deal with this tension while you're making Saloum? Did you think that I have to make certain parts relatable to an international audience, and you want to maintain some unique character of Senegal, which you did talk a little bit earlier? So how do you deal with this tension? Was it even in your mind, or?
It was. Oh yeah, it was in my mind.
Yeah.
I grew up in Congo, for lack of a better word. I grew up with TV. It was my generation grew up with TV. Now it's internet. When we grew up with TV in Africa, the TV or the state didn't have a lot of money for the channels that we were having. So we were having one channel, and that one channel was broadcasting Chinese movie, Indian movie, Mexican movies, French movies, American movies. So I grew up with all this. And then, on the side, I grew up with mangas, Japanimation, and video games and all this stuff. So I grew up with such a wide range of movies and cultures, and even growing up in Congo, in Africa, because we don't talk about that much. When you grow up in Africa, there are so much countries on the ground who are there to exploit or partnering or whatever, that I even grew up with a lot of different nationalities. I grew up fascinated by India. I grew up fascinated by we were having some Chinese people. One of my best friends was Chinese. I grew up with such different nationalities that of course your tastes are going to be challenged. So and I'm working in Hollywood also, so I definitely know what you mean, because I've been working in Hollywood since 2009. I didn't make a movie yet, so it gives you the difficulty of doing movies there. So I know exactly the business there. I know the people in the business there. I know the business in France, because that's my half my blood. So I did my studies there, and also that's where I learned movies. And I also grew up in Africa, and I started doing my first TV series was in Morocco, in North Africa. So I know all those markets. And when we created the production company to do Saloum, because we just created a company probably 3 years ago, which is called Lakme Production. The goal with Lakme, with my producing partner Pamela Diop, was always to make local subjects to bring to a global audience. I'm not interested into feeding the brain of just Senegalese or just Congolese or just that. I don't give a shit, and I'm sorry for the bad words. I make story for the entire planet. That's my goal. And if you ask me personally, since I'm a kid, I don't understand the concept of frontiers. For me, the earth is the earth. If I want to walk on the east or the west or the north or the south, that's my problem. But then, politically talking, it looks like in our society we need barriers, we need limitation, we need countries, we need whatever. But for me, the earth is the earth. You're human, I'm human. I'm talking to you, you're talking to me. I go shit, you go shit, right? So we have the same thing. The only difference is that we don't have the same culture because we don't have the same language. But we all dream, right? You sleep, you dream. I sleep, I dream. So my goal is to bind the dreams of others and to speak the same language with images. But that's me, right? As a filmmaker, I will never be against a Senegalese or a Congolese who say to me, I want to talk to my people. I want to make movies for my people. That's great.
Mm.
Do it, because that's what drives you. What drives me is I want to talk to everybody, and not with stupid ideas. I want to talk with everybody by presenting them a part of the world, or a country, or a story, or a type of characters that they never saw. And I'm so happy, and very, very happy to see the Singapore International Film Festival just on the right on my screen, and hear you talking about Saloum, because Saloum for me as a word, it's so much Senegalese and so much local that now that I can hear people talking about Saloum around the world, I'm just happy, because probably without the movie, that word wouldn't go that far.
Right.
Does it make sense? Even if the Saloum region is known as a touristical region, right? So I'm not God, and I'm not bringing that to the. So I'm not being cocky here, but I'm just very happy to see in US or in Brazil or in part of the world people saying Saloum, just because you did a movie about the Saloum, right? Like that's the magic of movies, when you can talk to a wide audience, and that's why I love that, and that's why I do that.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that, because like we mentioned earlier, you talk about the characters going almost to a resort, and you thought they would be having a good time. It's a very familiar experience for Singaporeans, because of course, Singapore is an island, and we also have that coastal region, and a lot of Singapore
touristical.
Very touristical, exactly. And a lot of Singaporeans like to go to coastal resort types. So it's very so that felt familiar to me. Another thing that felt familiar maybe is that the I guess for Senegal and Congo and maybe Singapore is the idea of colonial experience. We were a British colony, and I think Congo and Senegal were French colonies.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you this second last question. Like, how was the experience of colonization represented in Saloum?
I wanted it to be. I in the movie I didn't want it to be too much serious, because when I created the hyenas, the free mercenaries, I also wanted to show that they were not giving a shit about whatever Westerners or colonialism. They're free men, So when they arrive on the table with that Mexican guy, with that white guy, or brown guy, whatever you call that in the Western world, and you have that Senegalese singer / rapper looking at them and saying to them, Senegalese, how can I translate that in English? Senegal needs money. We don't need slaves to accompany white guys to exploit our country. That was directly a message to that. And after that, the hyenas just answered by, but you need everybody to make money. In somewhere he's saying that. Yes. So yes, I wanted to address that, but I wanted to address that as a very subtle subject somewhere, just to say we're aware of that, and we're aware of how it can sound when you have free Black people bringing saving a white guy and being paid to bring him somewhere and whatever. And I wanted to show quickly that this is not the subject.
Right.
But in the same time, if you watch carefully the movie, and I won't talk that much about it, if you watch very carefully the movie, there are some very strong message, or some very clear message. So you'll see for people, or you saw it, but watch carefully. And yes, this is a subject that, of course, is in my mind, and I grew up with that. Probably it's the same for you, but in Congo, I grew up with peasants, with street people, and on the other side, with kids of expats, rich kids, and all this. So I know both sides.
Okay.
I know which side I have in my heart, but then I know both sides. So I it's more. How I can say that it's deeper than just judging. Does it make sense?
I understand.
Because I met some very, very, very stupid expats, as I met some people who came in Africa really thinking that they were coming to help, really thinking that they were doing that, and then slowly understand that, yeah, I came for that, but maybe the organization that I came with is not in the it doesn't have the same idea than me, you know. And then they go south.
Right.
So you know, people learn, and we have to sometimes also respect the process of learning from
Right.
Westerners, you know.
Understood.
But again, it's also my, I will say my mission. I don't like that word, but
Yeah.
at least what I want to do is also talk about all this, you know,
Okay.
in a subtle and smart way, if I
Okay.
can.
Wonderful.
And I don't know if I answered your question on that.
Yeah,
but-
you did answer my question. Thanks you so much for that. My last question for you is about your what we can
Ready?
expect.
Last question?
Yeah, we have only 20 to 30 minutes, and I think we're reaching the 30
Okay.
minutes.
Okay.
I mean, it's a very enjoyable
Sorry,
conversation.
I'm talking long. Yeah.
No, it's fine. I wanted to ask you about your future projects because I'm really looking forward to see more. You mentioned Zero, which is your upcoming film, and then
Yeah.
you said there was something else that you're working on. Is there anything that you can reveal to us about these two projects that you're working on?
Yeah. I don't hide anything. there is, and everything is in the press, by the way. There is a project, an American project that I was supposed to do in US that now we're doing in French, which is a film noir / thriller / supernatural somewhere. So you see, it's always like coming back to switch up genres and stuff like that.
Right.
There is this thing, and there is Zero, and Zero is in post-production. It's in editing right now. So when I'm going to be finishing with you, I'm going to go back to editing. And this one is entirely again shot in Senegal, but it's a co-production between Senegal and US. And it's gonna be an interesting one. It's the total opposite of Saloum. It's like two white guys in Senegal. So the entry point, or should I say the point of view, is completely different from Saloum. So now you enter into Dakar with some Westerners' eyes, and they're gonna survive to some wild shit. So it's gonna be an interesting one. And also very humoristic and action, a bit like Saloum, but very different. Yeah. And the next one is way more darker.
Yeah.
But very deep also.
Okay, wonderful.
So yeah, wish me luck.
Yeah, good luck, and looking forward to that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time. And
thank you. You're welcome. Thank you for having the movie in the Singapore International Film Festival, and I hope you guys liked it. Of course, we're doing the interview before they see the movie, but thank you all for moving and seeing Saloum, and don't hesitate to, you know, I'm on social medias also, so you can come talk to me and we can talk about all that. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Jean. And for our audience in Singapore, if we love to see you in the festival. And I hope so. Yeah, great. We had a very good time here in our conversation, and so thanks a lot.
Thank you. You're welcome. You have a great day.
You too.
And have a good festival. Thank you. Bye-bye.